Now, Prime Minister Modi has landed in Athens. Remember, he's on a one-day official visit to Greece. MAA spokesman Diplomat Achal has outlined the packed schedule of the Prime Minister's day-long visit to Greece. We're crossing over to CNN News 18's Siddhant Mishra for more on this. Siddhant, tell us more what we can expect. What exactly is on the agenda? What are the deals that we're expecting to be laid on the table?
Partner when it comes to Indian, perhaps on the occasion, on the various occasions where international community, global community isolated India or cornered India, it was Greece which stood with India, even on the issue of Kashmir and various other issues. And this is perhaps the reason that Prime Minister Modi decided to take a state visit to Greece. Greece, and this is the second time that the Indian Prime Minister is going to Greece after 40 years. Now there are some key issues on the card which are likely to be discussed. This entire visit has to do with the security and defense cooperation. It was mentioned by the Foreign Secretary during his press conference. Then Greece has got a very vibrant shipbuilding industry. So there could be some MOUs or perhaps some sort of an understanding with regard to the shipbuilding. Then also, even the international press is reporting that India is keen to develop a terminal on one of the ports in Greece. So the talks were already going on, and India is looking at Greece with a gateway to Europe. Now, given the geopolitical situation, given the issue of supply chain, and also the strategic relevance of the Greece, has made India think about developing a terminal in one of the ports in Greece. And perhaps that is something which could be discussed when the two leaders are going to sit for the bilateral talks. So that is going to be the key issue which will be discussed. The second is also going to be the shipbuilding capacity, because Greeks are the shipbuilders and renowned shipbuilders in the world. So even on that front also there could be some understanding which can be made since Prime Minister Modi is there. And then later Prime Minister Modi is also going to meet the Indian diaspora, the strong Indian community in Greece, which is excited, and perhaps they have prepared a lot for the welcome of the Prime Minister. So there is going to be the diaspora engagement also later in the day. Back to you.
All right, Siddhant, thank you for all that information. Do stay with us. We're going to listen to what Diplomat Achal had to say about the Prime Minister's schedule.
Athens International Airport in Greece, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has just arrived here from Johannesburg after attending the 15th BRICS Summit. A packed day of engagements lie ahead in Athens. He will little later lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Thereafter, he will meet the President of Greece and then hold talks with the Prime Minister of Greece. He will also meet with business leaders from both sides. Before departing, he will have an interaction with the community, who are all excited to receive him after the success of the Chandrayaan mission. All in all, a very productive day ahead. Namaskar from Athens International Airport in Greece.
CNN News 18 Siddhant Mishra to get us more on this all-important visit and very significant visit to Greece. Siddhant, when it comes to Greece and India, can you tell us more about how the ties have been in the last few decades between the two nations?
India and Greece had always a great understanding, and perhaps, as I was mentioning, that whenever India needed Greece's support, Greece always stood with India. Whether it's the issue of Kashmir or whether it's the voting in United Nations, Greece has always supported India, and this is perhaps the reason that the past two governments did not pay much attention to India's relations with Greece. But this time around, the Prime Minister Modi realized the importance of Greece for India, and he decided to take a visit to Greece before coming back to India. Now, we have been told that this particular visit came at a very last moment. The announcement came at a very last moment. And since we were discussing the agenda, so the key agenda perhaps which is going to dominate the meeting between the two leaders is going to be security and defense cooperation, under which there's a Piraeus port of Greece, which India wants to utilize, and right now India is looking at Greece with a gateway to Europe. Given the current geopolitical situation, given the issues in supply chain, India is looking at Greece with a lot of hope of utilizing one of the ports of Greece, and initial talks were already going on. So there could be a decision or perhaps announcement which we can expect rather by this evening post the bilateral meeting between the two leaders. And the second and important point is the shipbuilding. Now Greece is a country which has which is renowned for the shipbuilding industry, and they have been doing it in the most in the best way. So there could be some sort of an understanding which we can expect, or MOUs being signed as far as the shipbuilding with the shipbuilding industry of Greece. So these are the two agendas which are likely on the cards and perhaps are going to be discussed when two leaders are going to be.
And that's going to be pretty exciting. We'll be awaiting those details. But when it comes to this visit, considering that's the first time that an Indian Prime Minister has visited Greece in the last 40 years, 4 decades, where again this visit is hugely significant because of the time that it's taken between that visit and the fact that another visit has taken place after 40 years. Now, what I want to ask you more about is it likely that we can now see the Greece Prime Minister visit India as well?
Well, yes, that's right. And, also the important point is that till now, India was looking at Iran's Chabahar port when it comes to transportation and shipment of goods to Central Asia, Europe, Central Asian countries and European countries. But since, because of the instability in that whole region, because of the ongoing war between Armenia, Azerbaijan, the instability in Afghanistan, and perhaps the sanction on Iran, India has realized the importance of Greece with regard to the shipment of goods to the European markets, to the European countries. And this is the reason that on the last moment, the announcement of this visit has come because of the significance of port of Piraeus, which is in majority being owned by Chinese company COSCO Shipping. Now India is also looking for a space or perhaps a terminal on that port, so that India can also send goods to the European market easily. And Greece is also excited for this very proposal made by the Indian side with regard to the shipment and the shipping industry. So there could be some announcement which can be made, and that is something very important which we could expect to happen this time around. Also, the diaspora engagement of Prime Minister Modi. We have been told that the diaspora, the Indian community in Greece, have been preparing for this day from perhaps last 1 week. So there's going to be diaspora engagement with Prime Minister Modi, where PM will meet the people from the Indian origin settled in Greece. And as PM always mentions that the strength of India is the diaspora community living abroad. PM never fails to entertain them or perhaps engage with them whenever it is whenever he is abroad. So that is also going to happen later in the day.
Do we also know now, as this is a very last-minute visit that was planned, could you also tell us about whether or not we know about any gift exchange that is going to be taking place between the two leaders?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that is a goodwill gesture which Prime Minister Modi is famous for. Whichever country he visits, or whichever country or whoever leader he meets, he makes sure that he give him a gift of something which is from artisan industry in India, or perhaps which tells and talks about the culture of a rich culture and heritage of India. And in fact, when Prime Minister was in South Africa, also he gifted the President of South Africa, the First Lady, a surahi, which is made from the traditional creativity of 500 years. He also gifted shawl from Nagaland to the First Lady of South Africa. So, this time, since he's in Greece, we could expect Prime Minister Modi to gift some important artisan material, some important artisan products to the head of the state and the First Lady, and perhaps we could expect that announcement to happen later in the day. Back to you.
All right. Now, Siddhant, when it comes to gift exchanging, you just gave us some very important details about this. But I'm going to request that you stay with us right now because we're also connecting with CNN News 18's Foreign Affairs correspondent Abhishek Jha. Abhishek, so we're showing our viewers visuals of the Prime Minister in Athens. One-day visit, very significant because it's the first Indian Prime Minister to really visit Greece in a span of 40 years. Tell us more about the significance of this visit.
We see that when Prime Minister Modi has said that India and Greece share millennia-old history and exchanges that used to happen thousands of years ago. Also, he did talk in the present context that those long-standing friendship and exchanges are not truly reflecting in our modern-day bilateral ties. If we talk about commerce, trade, direct linkages between India and Greece, people-to-people exchanges. So that is something that Prime Minister is going to give an impetus to. It is going to be a visit after almost 4 decades that a Prime Minister has reached to Athens for a bilateral meeting. Earlier in 1983, Indira Gandhi had gone, former Prime Minister had gone to the Greece. So that also shows how India is becoming increasingly interested in that region for the sake of commercial and strategic, interest of India's own, thing. And having a direct connect with Greek or having a presence in the Mediterranean will also serve a long purpose for the strategic interest of India.
Could you tell us more about the relations that Greece shares with the international community?
Sorry, come again, Aisha.
Could you tell us more about Greece and the relations that they share with the international community?
Of course, see, Greece happens to be a member of NATO. It is a member of European Union. And engaging with Greece also, in a way, conveys India's strong willingness to engage with partner countries in the European Union. We have been trying to resolve agreements with the European Union, and there are certain where the negotiations are going on. How India and Greece can collaborate in the sector of defense. That is one area where the Prime Minister may be highlighting that. Also, India is trying to emerge as an indigenous manufacturer of many advanced weaponry, and it wants to explore markets and opportunity where it can sell and become an arms exporter also. So that is also one of the areas where both the countries can discuss issues. Greece has also applied for the BRICS membership. That is the list of 22 countries who have expressed their keenness to join BRICS grouping. Greece has also been one of them. And being part of EU and NATO and then becoming part of Greece also shows Greece the keenness to engage with the global south. So in those contexts, it becomes really important to see that India is also reaching out to Greece and establishing a connect that has in the last 4 decades not been given due importance. And with Prime Minister's visit, it is clearly going to have a strong bilateral relationship that will be further strengthened in commerce, trade, the maritime security, trade route connectivity, people-to-people exchanges, education, science and technology. We can talk about environment and space cooperation. So in all those areas, India and Greece are going to strengthen their partnership, and this visit is going to underline that.
All right, Abhishek and Siddhant, do stay with us. We're going to listen into some voices from the Indian diaspora in Greece.
से स्वागत है उनका। वेलकम मोदी जी।
क्या नाम है आपका?
मेरा नाम मेघा शर्मा।
कब से रह रहे हैं यहाँ?
11 ईयर्स से।
11 ईयर से रह रहे हैं।
हाँ जी।
40 साल बाद एक अपने भारतीय पीएम
यस
इस धरती पे आ रहे हैं, तो आप लोगों को कितना मनोबल बढ़ता है? कितना
बहुत ज्यादा मनोबल बढ़ रहा है कि इंडिया से हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर जी आ रहे हैं।
मोस्ट वेलकम मोदी जी, मोस्ट वेलकम।
मोस्ट वेलकम, मोस्ट वेलकम। आई एम वेटिंग।
मोदी 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 मोदी।
नमस्ते मोदी जी, आप जल्दी जल्दी आ जाओ, हम आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं। वेलकम ग्रीस। एला मोदी जी।
क्या नाम है आपका?
गीता शर्मा।
शर्मा जी, कब से रह रहे हैं?
हम यहाँ 16 साल से रह रहे हैं। हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
क्या करते हैं?
हम काम पे जाते हैं, जो मेहनत मजदूरी करते हैं, और क्या करना, सभी करते हैं। हाँ,
मोदी जा रहे हैं,
बहुत इंतजार कर रहे हैं, अभी आ रहे हैं 5 मिनट में। ठीक है।
Heading back to our correspondents to get more information on this visit, we're crossing back over to CNN News 18's Foreign Affairs correspondent Abhishek Jha. Abhishek, we've been able to understand the fact that there's going to be a bolstering of ties when it comes to shipping and trade as well. What about security? Can we see more cooperation boosted in that sector? All right, we'll try to establish that connection with Abhishek Jha. Siddhant, were you able to hear my question? Would you be able to respond?
Yes, look, scenarios have changed after, or perhaps India's path to the Mediterranean. Countries opened it after UAE and Israel have normalized their ties. Now, India is also an active member in I2U2, which is India, Israel, the US, and the UAE. And the idea of perhaps India's Arabian Mediterranean corridor to Europe is an emerging multimodal and commercial corridor that could radically, reconfigure trade patterns between the Indian Ocean region. So, if you talk about the trade routes and the Indian ships, or perhaps Indian shipping industry can take a route to UAE, or perhaps can go to a port in Israel, and then from there the port of Piraeus, the trans-shipping complex can be used as a gateway to enter Europe. So, when it comes to the Mediterranean countries, the India's path has become easy, perhaps after the differences after the normalization of differences between UAE and Israel. And this is the reason that the sudden announcement of trip to Greece had come, and now Prime Minister is in Athens, and we have been told that he's going to lay wreath at the tomb of unknown soldiers. Post that he's going to hold bilateral talks with the Prime Minister of Greece, followed by meetings with the prominent personalities and business community of Greece, and then the diaspora engagement. So it's a full one-day visit of Prime Minister Modi to Greece before returning to India. So we could expect, as you were mentioning about the security point of view, then that is emerging as a one significant geopolitical player. When we talk about whole of Indo-Pacific theater, lot is relying on India when it comes to open, free, and inclusive Indo-Pacific. So the same commitment India wants to show to its Mediterranean partners, to its West Asian partners, and this is the reason that to show the seriousness and the commitment, India is a part I2U2. India is now engaging Greece more, and perhaps when it comes to maritime security, it also has to do with the supply chain. It also has to do with the best routes for the Indian ships. Now, because of the instability due to the war going on between Armenia and Azerbaijan, because of the US sanctions on Iran, the Chabahar, which was India's ambitious project, is not. There's not been a significant progress, and in fact, CNN News 18 only reported from that port, and got to know there has not been a significant progress. This is the reason that India has a second option, which was Greece. So we could expect some sort of an announcement, or we can also expect some group, some task teams to be announced by both the governments to discuss the issue of the shipping or India seeing Greece as the gateway to Europe. So that is likely on the cards. We still don't know, or perhaps we don't have the exact information. This is what we are getting to know from the government of Greece, that these are going to be the key agendas on the cards. Once announcement will take place, or perhaps when both leaders will do a joint press conference, or maybe later in the day when Foreign Secretary will do the press conference, we would rather get more clarity when it comes to this particular visit of India, that how visit of Prime Minister Modi, that how India is looking at Mediterranean countries and what is the goal of India, and what is the biggest takeaway from Prime Minister's one day visit to Greece? Actually, Aisha.
Absolutely. Siddhant, I'm going to request that you stay with us because the Prime Minister has now reached the hotel where he's going to be staying at in Greece. Let's listen into what the situation is like at the hotel at the moment. As you can see, it's a rousing welcome for the Prime Minister. Drums beating, chants of Modi, Modi. Then you see the Indian flag being waved as well. Again, a lot of excitement for the Prime Minister. Again, he's arrived at his hotel. That's the latest update. Siddhant, let's come back to you now. Could you go through the schedule of events that's going to be taking place today once more for our viewers?
Yes, that's right. So it's a one-day visit of Prime Minister Modi. So the schedule is packed. He is going to take some rest at hotel. Post that he's going to go to the Tomb of Unknown Soldiers for the wreath-laying ceremony. Later he's going to hold bilateral talks with the Prime Minister of Greece, and in fact will meet the other senior government officials of Greece. In fact, late in the afternoon, there's going to be a meeting with the business community and prominent people from Greece. And late in the evening, there's going to be diaspora engagement. Post that, we should expect Foreign Secretary to hold press conference or perhaps to announce what are the biggest takeaways of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Greece. But right now, what we can tell our viewers is that the India to Europe Arab Mediterranean corridor is an alternative trans-regional commercial transportation route, and you know, this is an alternative to the Chabahar-based transit corridor. So the north-south transit corridor with Russia has been talking about, or perhaps India has been discussing with Iran and Russia maybe from last 20 years, has suddenly taken a back seat, and perhaps even the foreign policy experts also realize has taken a back seat because of the instability in whole of the region and the war and the conflicts going on. So maybe India is looking at this India-Europe Arab Mediterranean trans-harbour route, perhaps for the shipment and the better transportation of Indian goods to the European market. And this is a reason that, in fact, many publications in Europe are also writing about it, that how Greece could be India's next gateway to Europe. So European market is big. There is a huge demand of Indian goods. India needs better routes since this particular port, which I was referring to, the port of Piraeus. I may be wrong pronouncing the name. That particular port is 67% owned by China. Now, if India gets a terminal in that port, that would be a landmark and perhaps game changing for India with regard to the exports. Also, India already has, Indian company already has a port in Israel. So this particular corridor is something which is in the mind of Indian foreign policy makers. Maybe not today, maybe a few years down the line. But this is one route which India wants to explore as an alternative to the Chabahar.
Absolutely.
And that north-south corridor which Russia often talks about. So that is something which foreign policy experts believe is on the agenda of India. And this is the reason that the surprise visit to Greece has been taken by Prime Minister Modi. Given there is a lot of domestic engagement with the Prime Minister, keeping in mind the G20 summit, in the next 15 days. Despite that, giving this priority to Greece, which is again a member of NATO, which is again a member of European Union, has a significant say in the policy making and in the whole of Europe. If India is engaging more with Greece, it means a lot, and it has a lot to do with security and defense cooperation. Perhaps that was underlined and that was mentioned by Foreign Secretary the other day while holding a press conference ceremony.
Absolutely. Siddhant, do stay with us. We'll come right back to you. We also want to get a word in from CNN News 18's Foreign Affairs correspondent Abhishek Jha. Abhishek, when it comes to the one-day visit that is currently underway, the Prime Minister in Greece, again, first Indian PM to visit in a span of 40 years, what do we know about whether or not there are going to be any special meals? How is Greek culture going to make its way into this visit? All right, we seem to have lost that connection. Siddhant, coming back to you, were you able to hear my question?
Yes, both countries have historical civilization ties, and in fact, those ties, those historical exchanges are serving as a base of bilateral relations between the two countries, as a core of the relationship between the two countries. Perhaps after 40 years, the Prime Minister, which is a major player in Mediterranean, also establishes Prime Minister Modi's priority to the country, and also how to, India is also looking at an option of how to engage more European countries. For the longest time, we have been only engaging with the fewer European countries. We had a limited engagement. But this particular visit of Prime Minister Modi is going to open a Pandora box. Perhaps we could expect more engagement, or we could expect more bilateral sittings of India, Mediterranean, and European countries, other than the main players in Europe. So it also describes perhaps the priority of the foreign policy makers of India, the Prime Minister Modi, and this one-day visit, trust me, is going to be very significant, and it's going to be very fruitful for India. Also, interestingly, Greece had applied for the BRICS membership, and right after attending the BRICS leaders summit, Prime Minister Modi has gone to Greece, which is again quite a lot of messaging from the Indian side. But one thing we can assure our viewers that this particular visit of Prime Minister is going to be very fruitful, perhaps would back something very exciting, interesting for the Indian side by the end of this visit. We expect some big announcement taking place, or a roadmap rather being shared with media regarding, especially in the security and defense cooperation sector.
Absolutely. Now, another thing on the cards is going to be meetings with business leaders. Do we know about whether this is only going to be, are these meetings only going to be held with Indian business leaders who are in Greece, or is it going to be Greek business leaders as well?
No. So there is a separate engagement with the Indian business fraternity. There is also a
All right,
list of
Siddhant, I'm going to request that you stay with us. We're being joined by former diplomat Achal Malhotra. Thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. How do you view this visit of the Prime Minister to Greece? It's the first time that an Indian Prime Minister has visited Greece in the last 40 years.
Well, yes, this itself speaks for itself that in the last 40 years, for the first time, an Indian Prime Minister is visiting Greece. So that indicates our desire to reach out to one of the important European countries. And, with Greece, we have had traditional and cultural and historical links. But I think if you look in terms of the content, there wasn't much content in the relationship. Content as it is measured in today's, in terms of trade, investments, in terms of technology, collaboration, or cooperation and collaboration in different popular fields. So I think, started reaching out to Greece 2 or 3 years ago, when on the sidelines of the UN, our Prime Minister had met the Greece counterpart, along with the Prime Minister of, around the same time he had also met the Prime Minister of Armenia. This was interpreted as our effort to sort of counterbalance Turkey, because Turkey around that time and generally has been trying to take anti-India positions. And Armenia and Greece both have their own issues with Greece. So this was also seen as an effort on part of India to engage these two countries. So that's one particular aspect. But generally, I think it also fits into India's current approach of de-hyphenation. Earlier, maybe we were not engaging Greece because we were probably giving more importance to Turkey. But now it is irrespective of what our relations are with one country. We are trying to develop our relations with every other country, which we think is important from India's point of view. So you should look at this visit as a beginning, where in coming days we hope that lot more content will be filled. And hello.
Yes, please do continue.
So a lot more content will be added, and obviously when we look at the West, the first emphasis is on technology, and the idea is to get whatever best and modern and technology that we can procure through transfers, co-production, and joint ventures. We have a small Indian community there, so interaction with the diaspora has become a part of every visit by our Prime Minister. And also interaction with the business community is also an integral part of Prime Minister's visit. So I think we can say, it won't be wrong to say that this visit would mark the beginning of writing a new chapter in the history of our relations with Greece, which have been cordial, which have been historical, cultural, but they have always lacked in content. Over to you.
All right, Mr. Malhotra, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your perspective on this visit. We're going to continue to track the Prime Minister's visit to Athens, Greece. Right now, though, we're going to be heading into a very short break, but do stay tuned for more on the other side.